Lil Durk is headed back to his federal jail cell, happy to deal with what happened in court today. Let's start with the GOAT with Mel real quick. Man, make sure y'all head over to Twitter or y'all can head over to TikTok. For sure tap in with our YouTube, man. With I'm not a lawyer, but and that is Miss Mel, one of the dopest, one of the greatest. She is the GOAT right now. I'm just gonna give her flowers because too many of y'all stealing her shit, and y'all need to give her props and credit because y'all too lame to go up there. Flat out. Anyways, highlights from Dirk's August 13th hearing, 1 week before trial starts. Government's gag order request denied, meaning, yeah, y'all wanted us to stop talking about this shit, but y'all keep on posting a whole lot of shit too. So, yeah. Judge says he doesn't see a need for lawyers to go on record with the press, but will not impose gag order. He said if lawyers do go on record and say something inappropriate, he will not hesitate to revoke the pro hoc vice status of the out-of-state lawyers. Oh, shit. So he said if y'all mess up and y'all do it wrong, y'all got to go. Government motion in limine number 2, exclude irrelevant evidence and arguments denied as moot. Government was asking the defense not to be able to argue that there's been so many indictments because the government keeps making mistakes. Defense can't get into that anyway, so this is moot. Yeah, and what moot really means is they can't really make that case because they're not supposed to. So it's like, we're not even going to discuss that because the defense ain't supposed to be doing that shit, which I'm going to be honest, I would fight that like a mug. But anyways, government's motion exclusion of defense's expert testimony denied. All 4 of defense experts will be allowed to testify, although he circles back to this later. The judge said his typical practice is to allow all experts to testify and leave it to the jury to decide. That's crazy. So you're going to have 2 rap experts in there, and yeah, okay, whatever. Anyways, government motion in limine number 4. Government was essentially requesting that the defense turn over exhibits, statements they intend to use on cross-examination 48 hours before the witness testifies. Brian still argued they don't want to turn it over early because government will then prep their witnesses on it. Judge ruled if the exhibits are being admitted under rule of completeness, the defense must turn them over 48 hours before the witness testifies, but the government won't be able to speak to the witness regarding it. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, what she's saying is y'all can see it, but y'all can't talk to y'all witnesses about it, meaning if I were to come in and testify, we don't know what the hell the defense is going to say. So it's just basically going to stay that way, that I shouldn't even know, but it's nothing wrong with the prosecution to know. So piss me off video is granted. The piss me off video will be allowed in trial. That's going to be crazy. Bank's motion to suppress phone evidence. This is related to Durk's phone being taken after 2021 burglary of his Georgia house, taken under submission. Durk's motion to exclude government gang expert, taken under submission. Finland said if the government's gang expert is excluded, there will be no need for one of Durk's experts. Judge will decide if both are admitted or both are excluded, but he's leaning toward they both being admitted. Yeah, because already what he said, what he leaned to already from what she said, he's just going to allow all experts in. Lindsay motion to exclude hearsay. Basically, Lindsay's attorney argued his alleged role in the case is limited to 2 days. Day before killing and day of killing. Therefore, anything said in 3 years before the killing and anything after shouldn't be used against them. Jurors should be told they can't hold it against them. Government argued when you join a conspiracy, no matter how late in the game, everything that happened before you can still be used against you, taken under submission, primarily because the statements made after the killing. Judge said the government seems to think the conspiracy of OTF are the same. It's not true. So just because OTF continued doesn't mean the conspiracy continued. Last bits. Government has 35 witnesses. Judge was shocked by this. LMAO, with all exaggeration, he said 35? 20 of them are substantive. Trial is expected to last 2 to 3 weeks, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Anonymous jury, still not decided, but he's leaning toward attorneys now jurors' names. Defendants do not. Judge expects jury to be seated on Friday, 8:21 and opening to start right after. Each side gets 1 hour. Defense can split the hour up to 20 minutes each. Defendant or one attorney does the opening for the entire defense. Next hearing, August 18th at 10 a.m. Thank you, Mel. You are the best. You know, I tell you this all the time, but I always got to make sure I tell you this. Now we see that, right? Let's give it some contrast, if you will. The Lil Durk Biggest Hater Award goes to Trap Lil Ross and what he has to say about him standing outside the courtroom. Let me give you part one first, yeah? Roll it.
Okay, so I'm here at the courthouse, the federal courthouse in Los Angeles, and I've just got out of the latest Durk hearing, and it was very, very interesting. I'm not going to lie to you, wasn't the best day for Durk today. Last session that we had, it was pretty good for Durk. He was taking some W's this time. There were a couple of small W's, but I would say right now, unfortunately, I would say the L's kind of outweigh the W's. The biggest thing that we heard from the courtroom is that the judge is going to allow a lot of, not all, but a lot of lyrics that Durk has kind of put out there in his music to be used against him. Specifically, the judge ruled that the song Pissed Me Off and the music video could be used. The judge even said, I've watched the video, I've listened to the lyrics, and basically the word slide for Von came up several times. They said, look, the song was basically a calling to the public, a calling to other gang members to slide for Von. They brought up King Von's kids being mentioned in the song, Sun, and True. They did get it correct and say that True was King Von's daughter. I know that was a point of contention for a lot of people, whether that was son or daughter. Didn't really matter at this point. They kind of brought up a whole lot of things that were very interesting, and the defense really tried to pull this move to say, and I said before that this was a pretty ridiculous defense, but this kind of argument that, oh no, that Pissed Me Off, that came out before, you know, they tried to kill Quando Rondo and Lil Pab got killed. That's a song about Get Back for D-Thang. That's a song about a different murder that Durk definitely wasn't involved in. So it was a little bit of a strange one, and the judge really wasn't trying to hear it. They brought up the lyrics about put up money for a hot car, put up money for a bond, and what was really crazy is they said that we have a participating witness that is going to testify on behalf of the government to say that he was the one, he was at the music video shoot for Piss Me Off, and he was the one that got the hot car. When Durk talking about put up money for a hot car, put up money for a bond, the guy that took that money and went and got the hot car is going to be testifying against Durk. So that was very, very bad. And then basically after that, I've got to switch a few pages here, but the judge basically kind of ruled that a bunch of other songs would be allowed to be used. So I think they originally wanted about 10 different songs to be included. The judge basically said 4 he's definitely going to be allowed to be used in the case. And it was pretty funny hearing the judge say this. Said Scoom His Ass was allowed to be used. Back Again, which might be one of my favorite songs of all time. Still Running, I think it was. I wasn't sure if that was meant to be Still Trapping. Threats to Everybody. And then he basically said... He said 4, and then he said, oh, Redman, but that was already kind of allowed to be included. So there was like a bunch of other songs that weren't allowed to be used. And to me, the most shocking thing, and probably the biggest W that Durk had in court today, that song, War About It, which I've said so many times, like, surely they're going to use War About It. They got Durk talking about, no, I said, let's go to war about it. The judge said, well, you know what? The word no, it's so ubiquitous. I'm not seeing the connection there. Now, I don't know if he's heard War About It. I feel like the judge maybe, I hope he listens to War About It. I mean, he's discovering all of this great Durk music, but War About It, what I said was one of the most damning songs, that's not going to be allowed. So that's a small W for Durk, but really quite a few L's if I'm honest with you. But I'll keep you guys posted on any more updates.
All right, so he has a whole entire dim and gloom type of feeling toward him, and he doesn't just have a lot to say. He has a lot more to say, which ultimately... it's really, really bad, according to him. But we might be able to find a silver lining in everything that we're doing. So let's see how this goes.
Right, so I'm still outside the courthouse from the Lil Durk hearing, and there was another kind of not so great piece of news for Durk. I mean, really, this was actually very bad news. It was ruled that this evidence that was on his phone, remember we heard about he had a phone that was taken from him after he was this victim of a home invasion in 2021. You know, he had fired shots into the air, and allegedly, you know, the cops basically said that they had probable cause to seize his phone to investigate because things weren't really adding up. Even though he was the victim of an alleged home invasion, they said that he'd been reckless and fired the shots into the air. Now, they held on to that phone from 2021. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, because it happened in Atlanta, they had kind of, you know, tried to crack the phone. They had got like a very basic, you know, cracking of the phone where it was in they described it as like a first unlock mode. So if you turn your phone off and you turn it back on, you know, you're in a first unlock. It hasn't been unlocked yet, right? So if your phone is in that state, what it basically means is that they can't get everything. They can't get all the messages. They can get all your images, they can get the thumbnails, they can get screenshots, but they can't get the actual messages. So Durk and his team were basically trying to argue that because the phone had been held onto for 5 years, the FBI filed a federal search warrant for the phone all the way in June 2026, that they shouldn't be allowed to use that evidence, and it was gathered improperly. This was an L for Durk. The judge basically said, look, it seems like the cops acted in good faith. They had good reason to look at the phone, to seize the phone, to go through the phone back then because of the reckless shots that were fired into the air. It's not the FBI's fault. It's nothing to do with the FBI that the phone was held onto for so long. The FBI asked for that information in good faith, and the judge even said that if they continue trying to get hold of all of the other contents of the phone that weren't available yet, if they get them between now and the trial, which is in like a couple of weeks, he said, well, if the feds manage to get all of the information off those phones, then we're gonna have to revisit it then and decide whether I'm going to be allowing them to look at all that stuff. And it sounds like that is going to be able to be used against him. And the contents of the phone was pretty damning. It was, photographs, screenshots. Apparently there was a screenshot of a conversation where they were trying to get Lil Tim's address, and the government basically said, yeah, that we have the metadata to show that screenshot was 2 days after Lil Tim was released on house arrest. So they were tracking his movements. It sounded like the stalking was taking place. They said that the screenshot of Quando Rondo's concert posters that were found in the phone, that was within a few days of him being shot at outside of his concert. So the government basically said, look, we got that information fair and square. The judge wasn't really trying to hear the other arguments. I mean, he was trying to hear them, and he said, I'm not going for it. It is going to be allowed. And he said that it sounds like the authorities acted in good faith, and if they get more information, they're going to be able to use that too. So that was pretty bad news for Durk, to be honest with you. But I'm going to do a big update with everything else on my channel, Trapmore Ross on YouTube. So stay tuned for my full update. And there's a few W's that I'm going to let you guys know that Durk had in court today as well soon.
Like I said, the hardest charge that he's going to have to face ultimately is the stalking charge. And that phone being in there, that is going to be a hell of a fight. It's not as though they can't win, but it's the how they win. I got theories, but shit, they're going to require them to frame Lil Durk as somebody who is essentially being given this shit and shown this shit. Because we didn't necessarily hear, Lil Durk he was sending the screenshots. They just said people were sending it to him. You're not responsible for what anybody sends to you at all. So I don't want to hear none of that shit. He can't be, hey, don't be sending that shit because the feds are watching and we might have to kill somebody later on. That's not a thing. Nobody does that shit. I get such shit I can't afford all the time. That don't mean one day, hey, I get rich, setting ass gonna buy this shit, so we knew it all along. Hell nah. But I know it's two different stories, but it is what it is. So the cell phone evidence, unless it has some damning text messages that are massively crazy, that's about it. Them screenshots, it doesn't really matter. In my opinion. Will it look bad? Yeah. The worst thing is they, meaning Brian stealing them, in their attempt to get rid of the piss me off video, they probably did a little too much. But you go for it all or you don't go for nothing. Because I ain't the truth told that he do say slide for Vine a couple of times in that shit. So Lil Durk getting rid of the other video that Trap Lil Ross said, that's a good thing. But here's the good for Durk, is if his experts are able to essentially paint the illustration of Lil Durk as though, man, this is what they rap about, this is what they rap about, all of this shit and everything. Somebody's going to have to become a semi-expert in drill rap any damn ways with the questions that they're going to ask the quote-unquote experts. But 35 sensitive witnesses and I guess 20 more? Unless I'm reading that wrong and they're saying that you got 35 witnesses and we're knocking that shit down to 20, then that makes sense. But all in all, was it a victory for Lil Durk? Was it a win for Lil Durk? Was it bad? Was it any of that shit? Honestly, none. None. Zero. You risked the good part of the trial running 2 to 3 weeks. But the best part about that is that you're able to essentially look at that and go, oh, all right, that's what's up. That's cool. Hey, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing that. Right. But also, with the trial becoming so long in my opinion, based off what we've seen from long ass trials and stuff, if you're not dropping in bombs every single time, hearing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that's gonna get a little bit crazier. Now, as far as what we've seen from jury instructions and all this shit, like they gonna come in like they got dang mice or something hiding from, cockroaches when the lights is on and they're just running and hiding and all this shit and gotta go underground. Yeah, as long as they get that knocked out, shouldn't be no issue, bro. The prosecution is gonna want older. The defense is definitely gonna want younger. So if they can get some younger cats on that jury, good. But it's California. It's the birthplace of gangster rap. That's the W that ultimately Lil Durk has. And I don't want to make this sound terrible, but California is a liberal ass state. They're more open-minded than if he was in somewhere like a Texas, like a Oklahoma, like a doggone Louisiana, any of that shit. He's better off in California with this stuff happening. Hell, it would have been worse if it had been in Illinois. So we shall see how this shit goes, man. I thought that was a gray hair the whole entire time. I'm still young. All right. Shit, I'm about to pluck this shit out the air. Ah, shit. But anyways, would it be in 2 and 3 weeks? I think that's a W for Lil Durk. If it was quick, then nah. But we shall see, man. What do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts? I know some of y'all, you said that you're being biased. You're being so damn biased. If I'm saying, shit, I don't think he gonna beat the conspiracy charge, what the hell else y'all want me to say? I don't think he's gonna be found guilty of murder for hire. To me, the feds are just waving the murder for hire shit just to associate him with the other shit. But y'all think I'm biased. Some of y'all do. Others, y'all know I'm not. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this, man. Click right here, though, to see how the nigga holding a goddamn Draco in the Pooh Shiesty video, he just got exposed. When y'all put these motions in for bond, you get exposed. Crazy shit. Click right here for that video or click right here for the playlist, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Y'all come on back now, you hear?